Privacy of thought respected. Being told that most intercourse was by thought transference, we asked if all thought there was apparent to all spirits.
We do not have our soul thoughts always on exhibition. There are unseen, holy, or loving places in each one's soul that are sacred to oneself.
How is it possible to be busy all the time?
If you wish rest and silence, the rest and silence are for you. In your mortal life, the thought of continuous, never-ending activity is rather appalling. But remember that either rest or activity is for you to choose. Never doubt this.
The neighbor spirits.
We are members of another circle, but we are not used to writing yet, and cannot express our thoughts easily. But we would like to tell you of our life here, for we are busy and happy, yet with infinite possibilities before us. Think what it means to study any of the great sciences from this side. To study the stars and suns, for instance, the homes of multitudes of spirits. For each planet has a spirit zone surrounding it to which their own spirits go. There is, of course, intercommunication between the planets, and we are made happy by visitors from faraway zones. They tell us of a spirit life the same as ours, but of differing conditions in each planet, and that their bodies are made to conform to the conditions. Eyes can be made which penetrate darkness. Bodies there are which delight in intense cold. Ears may be attuned to the music of the spheres, a poetic expression of mortal mind, but which means more than mortal mind has ever guessed.
Obsession.
Many do not realize that sin has no eternal life, that sin has to die, and the soul that persists thus comes into a purer life.
But there are so many spirits who obsess earth people. These do not seem to lose their sin. Their sin doesn't seem to die.
Yes, that is the reason they become obsessing spirits. They cannot live in the pure atmosphere of heaven, and go of their own accord to find some life upon which they can fasten themselves and thus live out their evil existence. There is so much that is not understood. Life, human and spiritual, is so complex that it takes long to even understand it, to separate the good from the evil. Volumes could be written upon life and thought, upon unconscious motives, subconscious evils, but it would take more of a philosopher than I ever expect to be to explain and classify.
The Scandanavian.
There is someone here who wishes to write, and thinks he can use your hand. We will help him.
I was of a number who were anxiously studying the problem of the unseen. What we thought, what we believed, now seems astounding to me. We had worked out a transformation of our senses, affections, activities, until we were not even a likeness of our human selves. Strange, how the imagination can run riot and pose as actual unalloyed truth. Then I came over. What could happen? Only to let me sleep in utter unconsciousness, while my guides tried to improve my condition. Years, many years, they tell me.
Were you an American?
No, I came from across the seas. I was a Scandinavian as much as anything. We were what today might be termed a super-intellectual group, and we prided ourselves in the destruction, mentally, of matter, of sensation, of intuition. Oh, Lord, what didn't we do to make ourselves superhuman? Super ridiculous, it seems to me now. I think there are a few of them over there now who deny all truth as commonplace, all nature as too simple, and try to institute a cult of something not understandable by any normal mind. Well, I have had my say. Can you guess how glad I am that I was brought back to a reasonable being, looking out upon a reasonable world, with everything making for happiness, freedom, and advancement?
Is that all you wish to say?
Mary says he has finished his outpouring. He is progressing, but is like an invalid who is on the road to recovery, but not quite well.
The soul.
We wish to have you realize the spirit, the soul, behind all activities. When the physical body passes into the unconsciousness of so-called death, the emotions still remain. Thought is there, the power to hear, see, think, enjoy are still there.
The soul must be life then?
Yes, that in the large sense is true, but I would like to give it a little more definitely.
But we have life here, so what are the eyes and ears for if soul is able to see without them?
The mechanism you have is fine, and is for use so long as needed by mortal life. But beyond this equipment is the more delicate one of spirit power. We here are so conscious of the difference, so conscious of the super excellence of our spirit power, that we cannot help expressing this to mortals when the talk turns toward the activities of the human body, with its machinery for its limited stay upon earth. The spirit life with its spirit equipment is so enormously better and finer than the mortal. We would like to have you understand a little the advantages and joys of spirit existence. Never doubt them.
An acquaintance. In talking with a friend of childhood days, Sis asked,
Before your death, had you thought much of the life beyond?
Only in the old-fashioned way, as the ministers describe it. My father had been a minister, you know.
Did you find much to learn there?
Yes, I came with all the old Orthodox teachings enveloping me, and it was hard at first to be rid of them, and know that the only hell is the one we make for ourselves, and that we need not endure it unless we obstinately hold on to our sins or our old beliefs. I was glad to be rid of both and start anew with hope and happiness and usefulness as my goal. Oh, I could tell you much of this life if I could find words for it all, but you may look forward to a happiness that will never fade, a kindly service for others that will give you untold joy.
How can we serve there where all are so happy and all are so good?
Not all are happy, not all are good. Have you not seen nor known of the selfish ones, the low-lived ones, the ignorant ones? Do not think that the mere fact of slipping out of the body entitles one to high thought, spiritual happiness, and the multitude of joys which are here. Mortals are fashioning their future lives right now. The diversity here is great, but kindness of thought and purpose, and a persistent belief in this life, will carry one far toward the happiness that awaits them here. I never had any idea of following my father's career there, but if I could go back now, I surely would be an exhorter. I don't know how to put it, but it would be such a passion for saving souls from all that is sinful, that life itself, it would seem to me, must be spent there in such service.
It is difficult. People are so shut up in shells of their own belief.
I suppose so. I hardly know that, for I drifted easily along in orthodox fashion, believing I was safe, and ticketed for heaven without fail. Believe me, I found much to undo and unthink before my ticket was accepted. Goodbye.
From a noted psychologist. The following purported to be from Professor W. M. James.
I wish to tell something of my life here. I have written through several mediums there, but have not said much about my present advancement. We have so many things to interest us here that we forget sometimes that the Earth people may like to know of ourselves as well as of our surroundings. When I first arrived, my strongest desire was to try to demonstrate to the friends I left behind the fact that I still lived. In this I fear I was not very successful. As time passed and the attractions of this life began to manifest themselves to me, I was drawn away from my efforts to communicate with Earth. I found many avenues of advancement, and all were so promising I had some difficulty for a time in making my choice. I have, however, finally chosen the lines in which I was most interested on Earth. We have so many opportunities for study that were not open to us there, that any subject is found to be much larger than we thought it to be there. So I have found plenty to do in following the different trends in which these studies lead. We get different viewpoints on many of these because of our ability to understand some things that were beyond our grasp there. We see that many things which we looked upon as evils there, appear to us now as problems that were placed in our path for us to solve. We find that many things which we considered blessings were only some of the more cheerful events of our life. The real evils we did not fully understand, the real blessings have been left for this life. I have continued to study psychology, but only as an aid to understand some of the earlier phases of this life. Psychology here is not so important. But the study of philosophy, ethics, and religion broadens out here, and comprises the larger portion of those studies which concern our future. We are always interested in trying to find some conclusions which we can apply to Earth problems. The Earth people need counsel in many ways, we think, and if such counsel can come from here with some authority, it may have influence.
Some strangers.
You do not know us, but the others are away, so we write.
Do you belong to this circle?
Yes, and we love Mary and Dee, as they all do. We have not been here long, but we wish to try to write, so here we are.
You say you have not been there long?
We think we have been on this side a long time, for we were unconscious longer than we could know. When on earth we were not in accord with spiritualism. We had heard of it, but only the common medium, the fortune-telling variety, and we felt superior to that. If we had only tried it out, had only investigated in an unprejudiced way, we would have come into the heavenly life without the dreary waiting in darkness and doubt.
Had you no religion?
No, we were not even church members. We thought if we lived decent materialistic lives we would come into the heavenly one if there was one, which we really did not believe. Our guides tried to help us, but we were buried too deep in our own beliefs and had to suffer the consequences. Mary and Dee are the ones who finally brought us into the light. They led us to a spirit circle whose work it is to lead darkened souls into the light. And even then it was a long time before we could see clearly.
You were helped by a spirit circle?
Yes, we could see a little. So Mary did not bother you with us. We know you love to help, but there are many here whose work it is to lead the doubting or lost ones into the true life. What a blessing it is.
You say you have not been long in this circle?
Not very long. We came when we graduate from the other circle.
Have Mary and Dee arrived yet from their long journey?
They had told us they were going on a trip to one of the planets.
Not yet. They are gone longer than we expected.
Maybe they are lost.
No, never. No such thing could happen here.
Why not?
Because spirit perceptions are a perfect guide.
I wish we could have those perceptions here.
It would make a change in the whole world, but that is not the law of evolution. We will go now, but we would like to come again and tell you of some of our experiences.
A school friend. An old school friend once made his presence known through Sissa's pencil, although it was with much difficulty that she learned who it was. After the greetings, he went on writing.
Life there did not last long with me, but now I am glad to have been here all these beautiful years. I love it here, and can remain as long as I wish. The higher planes seem to my still earthly mind too spiritualized, too far away from the life as I have known it.
I have thought that I would dislike to move on to higher planes.
You will be glad to know that you can spend centuries here if you wish.
It seems to me that particular sphere must be very crowded.
It might be crowded if the limitable space could be crowded, but you do not realize the immensity of heavenly space yet. We express things to you in language you can understand, but that language rather crudely describes our world or our life.
Later she referred to this friend when speaking to Mary, who replied,
We wish you could see him now with all the beauty of spirit development. He is no longer the bashful schoolboy, but aspires to high and fine ideals. You will see when you come how great are the possibilities in this life for growth and development of character. He is one on whom we can rely in helping others.
Spirit planes and race problems.
We have a visitor from a faraway plane, one who has never communicated with Earth. He is surprised at the ease with which we give and receive messages, and considers it a great advance from the life of fear and dread of this life which he felt there. He feels that it may be a great blessing.
Do you mean that his circle is far away in advancement?
Partly that, but not entirely. The spirit world encircles the earthly world, and he may be thousands of miles away and yet be within the boundary of this world. The higher planes lie beyond us out in space. We say higher more as a term of advancement than of location.
Do the different races gather in circles of their own?
Not necessarily. It is all a matter of congeniality. You cannot know the real worth even of some simple child of nature whose life has been spent in the wilds or the desert places of Earth.
Are there foreigners in your circle besides the Chinese philosopher?
We have many visitors from other countries, but most of the members of our circle are Americans. It does not follow that it will always be so, for no nationality would be excluded. Nationality does make a difference at first, but study and experience, and the kindness that everywhere expresses itself, makes for unity and happiness.
Do different nationalities show any difference in dress?
Not much. The clothing seems to express their thoughts or character, and Russian or Hindu may express the same thought or character.
Comments. An undeveloped spirit was brought to us one evening for help. The next evening Sis referred to the incident as very interesting.
He certainly was an exception to the many whom we bring to you. But he is a type of many, very many, who come here with their mortal desires and plans still the only life they know. We talked with this one a long time after he could hear us, and he is at last convinced that he is here in the spirit world, and that a new life, a new adaptation to life, is necessary. It seems to us that when he at last actually understands this necessity, he will show the same persistence and determination to win out that had formerly made him a success in mortal life and earthly business. He will progress rapidly when once he is entirely convinced that the way leads to happiness, selfishly, probably, at first, but growing into spiritual insight by degrees until he becomes a fine worker here in helping others. This is our joy, to watch the advance of those who seem almost hopeless. You will love to help when you come.
Spirit senses and earth vibrations.
All the senses belonging to the material human life, sight, hearing, etc., are of different organism here, fitted for the ethereal world in which material senses would be of no use whatever. You have been in contact with some of the souls who have come here without the slightest preparation, and you know how helpless they are in spirit vibrations. Few indeed come who enter into heavenly glory at once. Often there is great disappointment. Usually they remain unconscious for a long time, during which their guides are sending messages to the quiet spirits and endeavoring to prepare them for an awakening consciousness. But even then it is many times difficult for them to perceive through spirit vibrations. And this is why we appeal to our earth friends to help them through the lower earth vibrations, which they more readily perceive.
Stay by the truth. An old friend says,
Stay by the truth as you have learned it. You have had wise teaching. Trust your guides, accept their words, for they are taught by higher instructors, and be glad of the wisdom that is given you. Try to think health thoughts, happy thoughts, and thoughts of helpfulness, and of the long, beautiful life here, which is rich in compensation for all the trials and miseries of that life.
That sunshine, friends. Sis was standing outside in the sunshine when she unexpectedly felt an urge to write. Returning to the house, she took paper and pencil, and the following was written.
We are near you and wish to send some word. We are not Mary and Dee, nor any of your circle. Just spirits wandering through the old familiar scenes of earth, and seeking to tell our friends that we live. We were of your country, America, but not known to you. We believed that the life of the individual passed away at death and became a part of the essence of life which pervaded all worlds, but without personal consciousness. We find life infinitely better, infinitely more joyous than we could have dreamed. We tell you this because we have several times been in touch with your thought, and see your occasional doubt of this life. We know of your circle and of their work. We know their earnest desire to prove themselves to the world. They do much to influence mortals, and they reach out to others than yourself in such efforts. We are two spirits, like an earthly marriage, as far as choice of companionship and love are concerned. Do you believe this to be possible with spirits?
Why not?
Yes, why not? For love remains. The difference between the sexes here is a difference in spirit attraction and understanding. Swedenborg was nearly right when he said man represented wisdom, woman love. But the wisdom and love known here are far beyond anything of the mortal kind.
The writing began to grow smaller and slow down, and Sis asked,
Are you leaving me?
It is you who are leaving. You begin to doubt and our power begins to fail. Why do you doubt?
Have you not known of mistakes that have occurred in our messages?
We know that mistakes occur. Not all of us are in touch with wise teachers. Not all are gifted in discerning the future. Are there not differences in power and intelligence among mortals?
Yes, of course.
Well, then, be wise. Study your messages. Accept the true. Forgive or forget the mistakes. Goodbye.
Have you nothing more?
Not this time. We will come again, but we'll talk with Mary first and see if she accepts us as occasional helpers.
At a later date they continued.
We are here again, your sunshine friends. We thought you would like to hear that we are taking notice of all the writing, and believe it will help many to know of this life. That it is, and that they will come here at last, some in full belief, some in doubt, a few with joy. We came in ignorance, but not in any indifference, for we thought and grieved over our future. We had absorbed the materialistic philosophy, and it made the earth seem such a mistake, such a failure. So near to happiness, yet with true happiness always evading us. You will not have that outlook. Your coming will be one of joy, we are sure. Can you try, even more than you are trying, to make others enter into that same joy? The joy of knowing that life is a gift that continues into a happiness not readily conceived in that sphere. We do not mean that all enter into that happiness at once. The malicious, the criminal, the careless, the unbelieving, the cruel, have a long and weary way to go. The old philosophers in their religion called it hell. That may be a name for it. But, anyway, justice will not be cheated. Each must. You cannot put on paper the fine analogy we were trying to give. But at any rate, life here is a continuation of the life begun on earth. And each one there is preparing his place here. Never mind. You know the subject is too big for us tonight.